Association and the station. This is the Happy Hour.
He's going to happy hour?
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America.
Yeah, I'll come for a couple.
Here are your hosts, Nick Sainert.
I want to know what it's like to commit a crime without having to spend time in jail.
And Enrique Alvarez Clary.
C is for chunk.
Brought to you by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, fasten belts. And if you're in a vehicle, you should already be fastened.
If you're not, how dare you?
Click,
how dare you?
Click. All right,
yeah.
good. We got them all.
Follow the rules and
all
regulations.
Of them are fastened. But if you are not,
of the road,
highly recommend that you sit down for this one. If you're at a cubicle, nice job.
This is going to be a wild ride.
Yeah, I don't know how long this segment's going to take. In all honesty, I'm not sure.
It could be over in 2 seconds.
I don't know where I'm going to necessarily go and what words are going to come out of my mouth, but it's going to be interesting. 402-464-5685, the Honda Vic Hotline, the Starter Heyman text line.
Here we go.
But both of those open for you guys the entire way here, and definitely want your thoughts on this because I tweeted this out just a little bit ago. Did a deep dive for the most part on the college basketball net rankings, the NET. As most of you know, Nebraska men's basketball comes in the 95th, 96th spot. One of those, it was 95th, I believe, after they beat Iowa on Sunday. And according to the official net website, they have dropped a spot since Sunday to 96th. So, but now if you also look at like NIT tournament predictions, Nebraska's hosting Villanova in one of them, and Nebraska's on the bubble in another. And so there's just a lot of uncertainties surrounding Nebraska men's basketball right now. As we know, they're a game above 500. They are the 11th seed in the Big Ten tournament, and they're 9-11 in the conference. So I went through it, and there's been a lot made, I should say, of teams that may be higher than Nebraska. Ohio State's the first one mentioned a lot of times because Ohio State is 30 plus spots higher than Nebraska, and they don't have nearly as good of a resume as the Huskers do. And Nebraska, I don't want to come across as like Nebraska has this glorious resume that they should be considered for the NCAA tournament.
But they should.
But what I'm getting at is that when you are the NCAA committee, and two things, the net is the thing that the committee looks at the most and takes with the biggest grain of salt when they decide who is going to make the big dance. This is an issue. And number two, when the NCAA committee comes out and says that they're going to take into consideration missed calls in games, I don't know if you saw this, Rico, the committee has confirmed that they're going to use the questionable call that Rutgers had against Ohio State in their loss when they're talking about Rutgers' resume. They're going to consider the questionable call made at the end of the game against Ohio State in looking at their resume.
You're going to take the human error of the
Bingo.
referees and use it against teams when it is, in fact, not their fault that these referees made whatever mistakes they ended up making. And if you're going to do that, that means that you have to look at
you look at every single call that was made.
Single game and every close call that was made in every single NCAA tournament team's games and take that into account. I find that highly unlikely and very suspect of the NCAA tournament committee.
So I will find the official tweet here. It came from a Rutgers, a guy that covers the Rutgers athletics. Here is the official tweet from it. The NCAA Tournament Selection Committee has confirmed that they will consider Rutgers' controversial loss to Ohio State as part of their resume. The Big Ten officially said the winning shot should not have counted. If Rutgers won, it would have been a road quad one victory. So after a controversial loss. So now we get text, and rightfully so, from OG Les Lancaster. So they're taking into consideration that call at the end of the Nebraska-Purdue game.
Doubt it.
They're not. But once again, as Byron talks about on the text line as well, system is flawed. And so that's what this net was supposed to do, was supposed to straighten everything out, make everything ironclad, make it figured out, make it organized, right? To where it's, hey, depending on people or other programs' net rankings in this system, we're all going to use the same system. Depending on their ranking, it determines if it's a quad 1 win, if it's a quad 2 loss, if it's a quad 4 win, and you put weight into each quad and each record from each quad, if that makes sense. So let's just go down the list. We can get right to it. 402-464-5685. And once again, and as Byron points out on the text line in a separate text, winning is everything. Winning is all that matters. And yes, that's truth. Here we go. Nebraska's right. This is there from the official, it's called warrennolan.com. Here is their NET or their net statistics. They're 96th in the net right now, or excuse me, 92nd in the net right now. They are 4-10 in quad 1 games, 3-5 in quad 2 games, 2-0 in quad 3, and 7-0 in quad 4. All right.
They don't have a bad loss.
There's a couple bad losses in terms of like margins.
Well, yeah, but
right?
If you're like quads.
In terms of quads, no. And 4-10 in quad 1's not bad. Nebraska's strength of schedule is also 36th. That's something else to keep in mind. Okay. While we go through this, Nebraska in their last 10 games, they are 6-4, and they went on that 4-game winning streak as well. Since in those last 10 games, Nebraska has dropped 1 spot. So I want that to be a thing as well.
Doesn't really make much sense.
So the biggest one that's been kind of talked about in connection to Nebraska, Ohio State. Nebraska once again was 92nd in the net. Ohio State is 63rd. You also know that Ohio State is the 13 seed in the Big Ten Conference. And here is how Ohio State's net statistics pan out. They are 2-8 in their last 10 games. They are 2-12 in quad 1 games, 5-4 in quad 2, 0-1 in quad 3, and they have a quad 4 loss. Their strength of schedule is 5 spots higher than Nebraska. And their net ranking is 29 spots higher than Nebraska. All right, so there's Ohio State.
They also have a losing record overall.
Yes.
13-18.
A worse record than Nebraska. Yes. In the same conference.
Yes.
We'll stay within the conference and go to Michigan. Michigan, 17-14 on the year. They have a strength of schedule that is 8 spots higher than Nebraska. They are 54th in the net, and their quad records are broken down. In quad 1, they are 3-11. In quad 2, they are 5-2. And then they have a quad 4 loss as well. That quad 4 loss came at home back on December 29th to Central Michigan, who is 8-21 this year. So that one's not as bad. Once again, Michigan's net 54th. Here's where things kind of get bad when you go outside the conference. Okay. We will go ahead and skip that one, and we will do Texas Tech. 16-15 overall. They are 5-13 in the Big 12 Conference this season. Nebraska's strength of schedule, I mentioned, was 36th. Texas Tech's is 61st. And Texas Tech ranks, let's see, quick math, 38 spots ahead of them in the net.
1 spot below Michigan.
Yeah. Yes. And so here we are, Texas Tech once again, with the 61st strength of schedule. They are 5-12 in quad 1 games, 0-3 in quad 2 games, and they are 11-0 in quad 3 and quad 4 combined. They are 5-5 in their last 10 games, but once again, They have one more win and two more losses in quad 1 than Nebraska. They have a worse record in quad 2 than Nebraska. And they are 30-some spots ahead of Nebraska in the net. Now, Rico.
Yes.
These two are probably going to ruffle some feathers.
Ooh, fun.
Okay. Let's go to the Pac-12 conference, where the basketball is not that great. You have UCLA. You have UCLA and Arizona. All right. You have UCLA and Arizona. And the first team that we will look at, these were the two that annoyed me the most.
Mm-hmm.
Because once again, when you are the NCAA tournament committee or you are the NIT committee, you look at the net to figure out who you want to put in. And obviously you look at resumes and you probably look a little bit deeper than just the net numbers, right? You look at strength of schedule, you look at records against quad 1, quad 2, quad 3. And just for a reminder, Nebraska, 92nd in the net. They have the 36th hardest schedule in the country. They are 4-10 against quad 1 and 3-5 against quad 2, and then 9-0 against quad 3 and 4.
And in case anybody's wondering, I just wanted to look this up in case anybody's wondering what the net takes into account, how the net rankings work. So RPI calculates the ratings power index made up of 3 components: a team's winning percentage, average opponent's winning percentage, and average opponent's winning percentage.
Okay.
The net includes more than just winning percentage. It takes into account game results, strength of schedule, game location, so home, road, neutral, scoring margin, net offensive and defensive efficiency, and the quality of the wins and the losses. Those are the quads.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll take into account where you played, how bad you lost, how much you won by, and how good the opposing team's offense and defense is rated at the time.
So let's go to the Pac-12 here. The Colorado Buffaloes. They are 71st in the net, so 21 spots ahead of Nebraska. They are 16-15 on the year, so same record as Nebraska. Nebraska's quad 1 record 4-10. Colorado's 3-6. Nebraska's quad 2 record 3-5. Colorado's 3-4. So a little bit better there, supposedly. All right, so I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have, or excuse me, that's not Colorado's. Colorado's is 4-4. Quad 3, Colorado is 5-4, and Nebraska is 2-0. In quad 4, Colorado is 4-1, while Nebraska is 7-0. And that is good. I should also add, Colorado's strength of schedule, 12 spots behind Nebraska. And Colorado is 21 spots ahead of them in the overall net.
Make it make sense.
Now, last one. This is the one where you're really going to say make it make sense.
Now I can look at, so, I was talking about where the game is played.
Mm-hmm.
Colorado is 2-9 on the road, 2-2 at neutral site games, and 12-4 at home.
Yeah.
I don't know what that has to do with anything, but those are those rankings.
Well, Nebraska, 11-4 at home, 4-9 on the road, and 1-2 in neutral site.
They're pretty much similar road.
Really similar.
They're similar all around. Home, neutral, road.
But something in there, it's not, and that's where I don't understand necessarily, because when you look at the conference, the Pac-12 is not highly respected, I should say, as the Big Ten or even the Big 12. You have UCLA at the top, and then you have Arizona as well. It's not, you don't have Remy Martin at Arizona State. You don't have these top. You obviously, like, if you're the Big 12, you have Baylor and you have Kansas that are in top 15 every year. They're in the Elite 8 every year. They have a team, whatever. I understand maybe the postseason hasn't been great for the Big Ten Conference, but here we are. From top to bottom, Big Ten Conference is one of the best in the Power Six.
I have 2 games that might be carrying Colorado. They beat Tennessee by 12.
Okay.
Third game of the year. And they beat Texas A&M, who was 24th at the time, 103-75.
Dang. Look at that.
So those scoring margins.
They beat them at the Myrtle Beach Invitational, which helps. Tennessee was at home as well. And Tennessee is third in the net.
So the scoring, and when they win, they usually win pretty big. So that could be a part of it.
Here's this one for you, Rico, and you can dive deep in this one too. The Utah Utes. This is the one. You might recognize the head coach's name, Craig Smith.
What?
Former Nebraska assistant under Tim Miles. He was, interestingly enough, he was at Utah State last year, and now it's his first year at Utah. He went from Utah State, got a new job to Utah.
Stayed in the state.
Yeah, stayed in the state. But here we are. So Utah on the year, and this is the last team before we get to break. 17-14 overall. They are 3-7 in their last 10 games. They have not dropped a single spot in their last 10 games in the net. They have lost 5 in a row, and they are listed 18 spots ahead of Nebraska. Now, here's where it really gets funky. Nebraska, I mentioned, 4-10 in quad 1. Utah, 2-9. Utah in quad 2 games is 3-4. Nebraska, 3-4. Or 3-5, rather, excuse me. In quad 3 and 4 games, Utah has lost a game. Nebraska has not. Nebraska has the 36th hardest schedule in the country. Utah has the 126th hardest schedule in the country.
Yeah, there's not a lot of crazy on this.
What is going on?
Their first 4 games: Long Island, Bakersfield, Idaho State, Sam Houston. They lost to Sam Houston.
This is what we're using, and nobody knows. Yes, we know maybe what it takes into account.
But Nick, they beat Arizona.
I understand that it takes maybe what is into account. But if you want to include strength of schedule, if you want to include all the quad 1 through 4 records as well, I get that. But make it make sense on how a Utah team that is 3 games above 500 in a conference that is not as good as the Big Ten has been 3-7 in their last 10 games and not dropped a single spot, and has a strength of schedule that is about 90 spots behind somebody, and you're putting them 18 spots ahead in the net, in the category, in the conversation that you use to fill out your postseason bracket, whether that's NCAA tournament, whether that's NIT, it's crazy. It's insane. I don't know how we make that make sense to where you say that maybe the non-con matters, whether strength of schedule matters, when you want to talk about quad 1, quad 2 wins matter. I mean, this could be something to where, not with Nebraska and Utah, but I'm sure if you dove deep enough and you spend enough time on it, you could find somebody that's right on the brink of that 64th spot in the NCAA tournament, somebody that's right on the bubble, that has a better resume, better statistics, according to the net, according to the statistics that they use, whether that's strength of schedule, quad 1 through 4 wins, whatever it may be, that has a similar, if not better, set of statistics than a team that is accordingly in the tournament, automatically in it. It's just, I don't get it. This is why we got rid of the RPI. This is why we don't use the RPI anymore. It's because it can be faulty. Same thing with college football. This is why we want the eye test to be a thing. This is why we don't want just computers generating it. What do we want? Make it make sense. Figure out a model. And once again, as we prefaced at the beginning of the segment, I'm not fighting for Nebraska to be in the NCAA tournament saying, they're 4-10 in quad 1. I understand that. I get that. They've had some bad losses. They've had some, or I should say, losses by wide margins, things like that. But at the end of the day, they've also been taking care of business recently. They're 6-4 in their last 10 games, and they have the 36th hardest schedule in the conference.
Now, I did mention that the net also takes into account net scoring margin and net defensive rankings or whatever. Utah, for what it's worth, is better than Nebraska in points per game and points allowed per game. It's not that big of a margin. Utah averages 69 points a game. Nebraska averages 68. Points allowed, Utah is giving up 63. Nebraska is giving up 70.
Okay. So a little bit of discrepancy.
But not that much.
And once again, I don't know, and maybe this is how the college basketball world is now, or just collegiate athletics world is. And if you're not a staple in that sport, then you don't get talked about, you don't get respect. Maybe that's it. If you think about college football playoff discussions, that's why TCU wasn't. There are people thinking that TCU wasn't going to make it. It's because it's TCU.
It's the same teams. It has to be the same teams. Right? That's what they want.
But I just think, unfortunately, I mean, Doug and Lincoln says this on the text line. Colorado has 5 quad 3 and 4 losses combined and is ahead of us. And they have the same exact record overall.
Yep.
And so it's just really confusing when you there were 6 programs. I'll try to list them off. I already closed the tabs. Florida, Utah, Colorado, Michigan, Ohio State, Texas Tech. That Nebraska has very similar, if not better resumes, better quad wins, better strength of schedule than those 6 programs.
Mm-hmm.
And they are all more than 18 spots ahead of them in the net. And maybe there's something out there that everybody is missing. But I mean, obviously you have Ohio State, who is 2 spots below you in the conference, but in the 60s in the net, when it makes absolutely no sense.
I mean, Villanova, who, according to the latest projections for the NIT Nebraska would be hosting, is 12 spots above Nebraska at 80. And it's the same overall record. They're 1 game better on the road. Neutral site, they have 1 more loss. At home, they're pretty much the same, and through the quads, they're pretty much the same.
Well, it's like, and now we're going to have
12 spots higher.
And now committee is going to come out and confirm that they're going to take into account a controversial loss at the end of a game for Rutgers. Why are we worried about it? Why are we worried about it? Because Rutgers is right on the bubble.
They're 41st.
That's why. I just don't understand, once again, the continuity. Do you want to be consistent? And do you want to avoid controversy, I guess would be the good word?
Yeah.
When you make decisions, when you put teams in the bubble, when you put teams in the bracket, do you want to avoid that? Well, then figure something out that was supposed to be like the net, because now we find ourselves a couple years after the net is installed and utilized for a significant amount of time, that there's discrepancies in that and that it's flawed to begin with. And so Nebraska here, by according to their quad wins, according to strength of schedule, according to their net statistics, should be in the NIT. But here we are, technically 96th in the country in the net, on the outside looking in if you're Nebraska. When none of it makes sense, and a team like Ohio State is in the 60s, or a team like Utah is in the 70s, or a team like Colorado is in the 60s. Just makes no sense. Don't understand it. And then you have, once again, committees coming out and saying you're going to review controversial calls. If teams look deep enough, they can always find a controversial call, whether it's block charge, whether it's be a shot, whether it be whatever it may be. You can always find something. And if we're going to do that, then that's just a hope and pray, kind of chuck it up there, see if something sticks for the conference. Let's take a break. We'll be right back on the Happy Hour.
Follow Nick and Enrique on Twitter at Nick_Sainert and at Radio Rico AC. More of Happy Hour is next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hi, it's Joel Norman, the voice of your Lincoln Stars hockey team. Tune in to 93.7 The Ticket every Tuesday night from 8 to 9 p.m. to hear the latest on the Stars with myself, head coach Rocky Russo, and special player guests.
Are you looking for a solid, stable career in assembly, CNC machining, or injection molding? We got you covered. Hi, Bob Williams, HR Director for Garner Industries, a world-class manufacturer with a 70-year history right here in Lincoln. And I just listed some great career opportunities that you can find by logging into GarnerIndustries.com. If you want top pay, excellent benefits, flexible work hours, and the opportunity to work in a clean, modern, air-conditioned facility with great people, contact me today by applying online at GarnerIndustries.com.
At first, I was really nervous and intimidated to buy a ring. I wasn't sure what I was getting into.
My experience at Starter Heyman was very easy. I felt like I walked out of Starter Heyman with the ring that was going to make her go wow and say yes.
I love my ring. It is so beautiful.
I absolutely love my ring. I get compliments on it all the time. I always tell them Starter Heyman.
Yeah, we would definitely recommend Starter Heyman.
Yeah, it was great.
We're definitely coming back.
Starter Heyman Jewelers, Lincoln and Grand Island. StarterHeyman.com.
Repeat after me. I will not touch the fuse box.
I will probably not touch the fuse box.
Sip, do you remember what happened last time?
Yeah, I remember.
What happened?
Half of the city block lost power.
And?
My chicken condo went wild.
That's right. The chickens ran wild. So what do we do instead?
Call Joe at Ambition Electric and let him handle everything. Look, saved on speed dial.
Ambition Electric, 402-665-4650 or online at ambitionelectric.com.
There's a lot of realtors in Lincoln, but don't get overwhelmed by all the names. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realtor Group at Berkshire Hathaway Real Estate is your go-to option when buying or selling residential and commercial property. Ben's team offers unbeatable customer service and promises to make the buying and selling process as stress-free as possible. Call Ben today at 402-419-6309 for all your real estate needs. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group at Berkshire Hathaway Ambassador Real Estate. No pressure, just professionalism. Tailored Landscapes is actively preparing for spring. Things like getting new tree orders, getting equipment ready, and training staff to serve you the best we can. If you haven't already planned, now is the perfect time to figure out a maintenance plan for your yard. We're on the brink of spring cleanups for all of our existing customers and have limited spots left. Trim trees and shrubs when needed and only mulch proper amounts. Give us a call today at 402-432-2572 to set up a meeting with one of our designers and get ready for Tailored Life grand opening in Benton. Hey guys, Nick Sid here, and I want to tell you about my friends at Spine and Sports Chiropractic. I experienced a herniated disc in my lower back a few years ago, and thanks to the folks at Spine and Sports, I got back to feeling 100%. At Spine and Sports, they use the active release technique, which involves the soft tissue and can alleviate head, shoulder pain, plantar fasciitis, and more. What I like most about the ART method is that your doctor will construct a plan that fits your needs because the technique is not a cookie-cutter approach. Allow Spine and Sports Chiropractic to help you feel better. Set up your appointment today by giving them a call at 402-261-6841.
Look at your car. It's filthy and probably has a few dings and nicks all over it. Don't be that guy. Get it upgraded and repaired at Renew Your Auto. At Renew Your Auto, they offer tons of services: ceramic coating, window tinting, paintless dent repair, washes and details, bed liners, body shop, and more. Where can you go to get services like that all in one place? Schedule your appointment today at renewyourauto.com. See what Renew can do for you. March is a month of good luck. From epic runs in state basketball to watching Cinderella spring the upset in college basketball. And of course, St. Patrick's Day. Luck is on your side at Mullen Motors too, because their lot is full of great vehicles to take home. Come check out their lot just north of 48th and Layton and find your next ride, as summer road trips are just around the corner. Your luck starts this month at Mullen Motors.
No taglines, just quality vehicles. Mullen Motors.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric is the call I make when I have a need for plumbing services. Whether it's for my home or office, if I need a repair to a water heater, softener, or even my garbage disposal, I know I can count on Action to help. In one simple call, their amazing customer service team promptly schedules a service call, often getting to my needs within a day. Action delivers honest, quality services we can count on. To learn more, visit actionlincoln.com.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Mostly cloudy and cool today with a high of around 42. East-northeast winds at around 10 to 15. We may see a few sprinkles or light rain showers this evening. Lows tonight should drop off to around 34. And nearly a repeat performance tomorrow, mostly cloudy with a high of 41. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright. 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Sainert and Enrique Alvarez Clary, presented by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back to the hour 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. It'll have to be a quicker segment, I should say. Okay, so we got a couple texts that I want to talk about regarding the net here. We just got this one in from Eric in Lincoln. Says, how is Wisconsin still in the tournament? Good question, Eric. Their strength of schedule is right around Nebraska's at 34th. They are 78th in the net, which would technically put them on the outside looking in. Their records in quads are 6-7, 5-5, 1-1, and 5-0. So
honestly, the quad 4 doesn't matter unless there's losses.
Losses, exactly. It's quad 1 and quad 3. And the only reason that quad 3s matter is because sometimes if you play a middle of the road team at home and and you lose, that makes it a quad 3. If you play them at home, or excuse me, on the road, could make it a quad 2 or even a quad 1. It just depends on, once again, how do you justify the quad 1 and those quads and the records is based on where they're at in the net.
The highest ranked net team with a quad 4 loss is Kentucky at 20. And they just have 1, but they have 2 quad 3 losses.
Who is their quad 4 loss, Rico?
Their quad 4 loss? I'd have to check.
Here, we can do this really quickly. Do you go to the team sheet at the top? Here, I can just because I've been obsessing with this.
You do this.
I've been obsessing with this. The net team sheet. Kentucky's quad 4 loss. It might not be who you think. The South Carolina Gamecocks beat them 71-68 at home. For example, we can go to Nebraska's team sheet really
right
quickly.
Below them, Utah State is 21st in the net.
Okay.
They have 2 quad 4 losses.
So
they're only 1-4 in quad 1, 8-1 quad 2, 12-0 in quad 3.
Dang. Look at that.
23-7 overall, Utah State. They lose their head coach and they seem to be just fine.
See, think about this, guys. So here's a perfect example of how quads work, just in case you're still confused a little bit on it. Quad 3, for example, Nebraska's road win at Minnesota was a quad 3 win.
Mm-hmm.
Nebraska's home win against Minnesota was a quad 4 win. So it just kind of shifts a little bit.
And for some odd reason, their win against Ohio State is a quad 1 win.
Yes.
Which still makes no... Every team that's beaten Ohio State has a quad 1 win.
Mm-hmm.
That makes no sense.
Yeah. Nebraska's quad 1 wins are Creighton.
At Iowa.
No. Nope, that is a quad
2. It's quad 1.
No,
win.
that's quad 1.
Yeah.
So here are their quad 1 wins. Creighton, Iowa, Maryland at home, and Rutgers on the road.
Not at Iowa?
It is at Iowa.
At Iowa,
Yep,
okay.
At Iowa. Their home win against Iowa was quad 2.
Okay.
Their quad 2 wins are home against Iowa, home against Penn State, home against Ohio State. Quad 3 wins, home against Wisconsin. Quad 4 wins, Boston College, Queens, Florida State, Minnesota, Maine, Omaha, Arkansas, Pine Bluff.
Do you think the home game against Michigan State, if they were to win, that would have been quad 1? I know the road one would have been quad 1. Would the home one
Michigan State?
Michigan State. Would
so
that
here,
have been?
I can tell you right now. The away one would have been. The home one would have been a quad 2.
Okay.
Would have been a quad 2 win.
Okay.
Because they are on so here's how they determine quad 2. Home with the opponent in the net ranking between 31 and 55, that makes it a quad 2 win or a quad 2 game. Michigan State was 31st. So if they were one spot higher in the net, it would have been a quad 1 win.
I mean, you lost anyway, so whatever.
So then Cheeseburger adds this in. I don't know why you're complaining so much. Nebraska basketball should have taken care of business early in the season like they did at the end. We were all talking about Fred being fired early, and now everyone is praising him. I would say I would take caution on how much we talk about Nebraska not doing their job early on in the year. When you look up and down the roster, what's one thing that we said coming into this season that we wanted Nebraska to do? Win the games you're supposed to win and avoid losing a game against Arkansas, Pine Bluff, or Kennesaw, or Incarnate Word. If you look up and down Nebraska's schedule, they didn't have one of those losses this year. They beat Maine. They beat Omaha. They lost to St. John's. I can't really say that you're supposed to win that one on the road. You beat Arkansas Pine Bluff. You don't have Derek Walker for your first 5 games. You beat a bad Florida State team on a neutral site, just like you're supposed to. You beat a Boston College team that has a 15-16 record right now in the year, and you beat them 88-67 at home like you're supposed to. You go on the road and do something that you're not supposed to do and beat, at the time, number 7 Creighton. If you want to use the ranking right now, they're 24th in the country. Then you start to lose you lose 3 in a row to 3 straight ranked teams. You beat Queens in the fashion you're supposed to. You probably beat Iowa at home. Then you go on the road, you start losing guys to injury. You go on a little 4-game slump, and now here you are, you're 6-4 in your last 10 games. I don't like when we look back on this. I want Husker fans to kind of realize, like, our expectations or what we wanted at the beginning of the year for them to avoid an incarnate word type of loss, that's come to fruition in my mind. Yeah, are there a couple? Would you have liked to see the margin between Nebraska and Kansas State be a little smaller? Of course. Would you have liked Nebraska?
Turns out Kansas State was really good.
Turns out Kansas State was good. Would you have liked to see also like Nebraska put up a better fight at home against Illinois? Absolutely.
And who's to say? And I'm
not coming at you, Cheeseburger. I'm honestly not. This is more of just a generalized.
Yeah. And who's
statement.
to say that the missed call that's definitely not going to be reviewed because the committee doesn't care about Nebraska making it into the tournament unless they win the Big Ten. Who's to say that missed call against Purdue that cost them the game, although they had multiple opportunities to make the shot, didn't have Nebraska basketball, unfortunately, having one game lose them 2 games as it carried over when they went down to, was it Kansas City to play Kansas State?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a thing that could have happened. Who's to say what happens in that Kansas State game if they beat Purdue, if they have all that momentum heading down to Kansas City? I don't know if they win because that was kind of a blowout, but maybe it's a little bit closer. Who knows?
Like there's a lot of what ifs going on, right? When we talk about the Purdue game, we talk about, what about the Nebraska-Michigan State game? What happens if Nebraska beats Michigan State, Purdue? What are they? Are they in the tournament? Are they on the bubble? What
happens if you don't lose Juwan against Illinois?
And so it's like, what we can look at, though, what we can legitimately point to is the idea that they are, yes, on the 11 seed, but in a typical year, they're around the 8 or 9 mark, which means a bye in the Big Ten tournament. And then also, they didn't have I don't want to say a letdown game, a game where they just crapped the bed. I mean, every single year under Fred Hoiberg so far, Nebraska has lost to a very poor opponent. And they didn't do that this year. Mm-hmm. Oklahoma, you lost to them in the ESPN Events Invitational, once again without Derek Walker, who proves to be pretty important, and they're around 500 this year. You also lose to a Memphis team that's 23-8 this year, led by head coach Penny Hardaway. You lose to them by 10. But then once again, you bounce back. One thing we've talked about this team and what they've done so far this year is they've never gotten to too big of a lull. They haven't gotten into where they lose 10 straight. They lost 4 straight in the midst of 2 injuries to their starters. Mm-hmm. But then guess what? How'd they bounce back? Sam Hoiberg comes off the bench, and I said it yesterday, but if you would have told me 4 years ago that, hey, a walk-on is going to be your 6th man coming off the bench, how do you feel about it? I'm not feeling that great. But now that we've seen it, great. It works out really well. And this team's a lot of fun to watch. I think it's just interesting as we go up and down and kind of, if you kind of just talk about, I'm not trying to do the whole if game, but once again, things you can point to. Here we are. Nebraska did a couple things really well this year, despite only having a 16-15 record. Let's take a break. Austin Strick join coming up next.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch. Listen along wherever you are. More of the happy hour is now on 93.7 and theticketfm.com.
Baseball season is here, and your Husker baseball team wants to see you at Haymarket Park. Season tickets, diamond deal, single game tickets are on sale now. Opening day is March 7th with the Huskers taking on Northern Colorado. For more information and to purchase tickets, visit huskers.com/tickets. The Huskers need your help kicking the home season off strong with Creighton, Omaha, and some of the best in the Big Ten coming to town. Need family plans for spring break? Come on down to Haymarket Park. For more information, go to huskers.com/tickets.
Are you looking for a solid, stable career in assembly, CNC machining, or injection molding? We got you covered. Hi, Bob Williams, HR Director for Garner Industries, a world-class manufacturer with a 70-year history right here in Lincoln. And I just listed some great career opportunities you can find by logging into GarnerIndustries.com. If you want top pay, excellent benefits, flexible work hours, and the opportunity to work in a clean, modern, air-conditioned facility with great people, contact me today by applying online at GarnerIndustries.com.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now they've raised wages again, hiring. for production operators at $24.11 per hour, which grows to $28.27 per hour within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $32.76 per hour, with opportunities to make more based on certifications. Continental also has salaried jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates, with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or to apply, go to continental-jobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
Why are some people more successful? Is it talent and determination, or did they recognize an opportunity? Discover a career that lets you help families reach their financial goals as you build lasting professional relationships. One with unlimited income potential. From Modern Woodman, a leading fraternal financial services provider.
I'm Modern Woodman Regional Director Sean Erickson. Call me at 402-483-6515 to learn about career opportunities.
Modern Woodman of America. Touching lives, securing futures.
This is Jay Foreman. When I played football for Nebraska and in the NFL, I wore protective gear to safeguard my health. Today, I'm not only protecting health, but everyone in our community up to date with the bivalent COVID vaccine. Update your protection with vaccine while still free. Find out more. That's healthylincoln.org.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Mostly cloudy and cool today with a high of around 42. The winds of 10 to 15. We may see a few sprinkles or light rain showers this evening. Lows tonight should drop off to around 34. And nearly a repeat performance tomorrow, mostly cloudy with a high of 41. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
At first, I was really nervous and intimidated to buy a ring. I wasn't sure what I was getting into.
My experience at Starter Heyman was very easy. I felt like I walked out of Starter Heyman with the ring that was going to make her go wow and say yes.
I love my ring. It is so beautiful.
I absolutely love my ring. I get compliments on it all the time. I always tell them Starter Heyman.
Yeah, we would definitely recommend Starter Heyman.
Yeah, it was great.
We're definitely coming back in the future.
Sutter Heyman Jewelers, Lincoln and Grand Island. SutterHeyman.com.
Tailored Landscapes is actively preparing for spring. It's like getting new tree orders, getting equipment ready, and training staff to serve you the best we can. If you haven't already planned, now is the perfect time to figure out a maintenance plan for your yard. We're on the brink of spring cleanups for all of our existing customers and have limited spots left. We trim trees and shrubs when needed and only mulch proper amounts. Give us a call today at 402-432-572 to set up a meeting with one of our designers and get ready for Tailored Life's grand opening in Bennett.
MWR is dedicated to building attractive, affordable steel buildings that exceed your expectations. From commercial to residential to agricultural storage, steel buildings are cost-effective, attractive, and versatile. Plus, they're a lasting investment and an ideal choice. MWR uses Sentinel Building Systems out of Albion and can service you all over the state and region. If you have interest in a steel building, post frame building, or fencing, give MWR a call today at 402-980-5273 or go to MWRbuildingandfence.com.
There's a lot of realtors in Lincoln, but don't get overwhelmed by all the names. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realtor Group at Berkshire Hathaway Ambassador Real Estate is your go-to option when buying or selling residential and commercial property. Ben's team unbeatable customer service and promises process as stressful as possible. Call in today at 402-419-6309 for all your needs. Ben Bleicher, Professional Realty Group at Berkshire. No pressure, just present.
Nebraska State Veterans Homes are here to serve veterans, their spouses, or parents. Join your fellow veterans in one of our homes, Fork or Scotts Bluff. With a slight financial contribution, an excellent clinical team, and plenty of fun activities, our homes are the perfect retirement choice. Learn more at veterans.nebraska.gov/homes. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Look at your car. It's filthy and probably has a few dings and nicks all over it. Don't be that guy. Get it upgraded and repaired at Renew Your Auto. At Renew Your Auto, they offer tons of services: ceramic coating, window tinting, paintless dent repair, washes and details, bed liners, body shop, and more. Where can you go to get services like that all in one place? Schedule your appointment today at renewyourauto.com. See what Renew can do for you.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric brings exciting career opportunities for you or someone you know. They are now hiring plumbers, electricians, and HVAC techs and installers to continually build their professional team. They offer competitive pay and full benefits packages that include health, dental, vision, PTO, and 401k options. Action has created a positive team environment for over 50 years. Apply online at actionlincoln.com.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Sainert.
I'm leaving people.
And Enrique Alvarez Clary.
What do you mean, you people? What do you mean, you people?
Sponsored by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back to the Happy Hour here on 93.7 The Ticket. Nick is gone. He has class. You know, he still does that from time to time. He's not always calling basketball games or complaining about the net rankings.
The summers is when he's finished, right?
I believe so.
Isn't he graduating?
I think he graduates this May.
Yeah.
That's
good for him.
I don't know
mean,
his schedule. I don't know how many classes he has left, but I believe it's May that he'll graduate, and then he'll be here forever, and he'll never leave.
I had a situation where they're still there too. Dennis LeBlanc and that crew over there that I was about to leave, and he says, "Nah, you've got I want to say I had maybe 8 hours left."
Mm-hmm.
He says, "Just knock it out, Strick. You know, I'll come back." I was tired of school, bro.
You ain't go to school to play school, Strick?
I was not trying to do, but because I was dreading this science class. It's mandatory. I had to take it. And then he sat me down and was like, "Strick, it's better to take this class in the summer because they'll cram it.
It'll be short.
It'll be shorter, and you won't have to deal with And that was the thing that saved me, because I went and knocked those, I think it was like 2 classes out in the summer and was done, because he was right. That science class would have been dreadful in a semester setting.
Yeah, my problem with the summer classes is if I have to do it online, I forget, and I just don't do the class. So I have to go to the classroom and do all that. Because if you're like, oh, we'll do it online, and you just have to sign in and do the work on your own, yeah, I'm gonna forget. I'm not gonna do it, and that's gonna be a problem.
My problem with summer school is I didn't want to do it, but my advisor told me wrong, so I ended up having to.
Tragic.
Well, that sucks.
Well, we're not going to talk about school right now. We're going to talk about kind of the news of the last couple of weeks. Ja Morant, Shams, how do you pronounce his last name?
Shams Charania.
Kind of broke via Twitter. It hasn't gotten to the ESPN or anything, so I'm not sure how true it is, but I believe Shams. He's never steered me wrong. Ja Morant will receive a 50-game suspension by the NBA for his week of antics, really, that he's been taking part in during this slow news cycle for the NBA, beating up a 17-year-old, flashing a gun at the said 17-year-old, flashing guns on his Instagram Live, the incident with the laser earlier in the season with the Pacers, just everything that's been going on with Ja Morant. He will be suspended, according to Shams, for 50 games by the NBA. Do you guys think that's fair?
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I think it's fair. We all know what happened with Gilbert Arenas back in the day. Gilbert Arenas, obviously a very good player. I think Ja has a chance to be better. And so with someone that, could be a face of the league, someone that is with an up-and-coming franchise in Memphis, they're the 2 seed right now, it sucks, but you have to send that message loud and clear to make sure nobody else gets involved in. If they are, you have to be consistent with it. That's what it comes down to. You hope this is enough to make sure no one else does it. You hope it's enough to, make sure Ja doesn't do it again, but you also hope that he's being productive while he's away, that he's tightening that circle, that he's, getting with people that really care for him, trying to learn from the mistake and moving on from it. Because if he doesn't, and there's another incident right after he comes back, then what's the point? And if you're Memphis, that's a huge loss. So 50 games, hefty, probably has to be done.
Let's do
we got it in already.
Oh, you got it in?
Yeah, we got it in.
All right. So listen, I love what you just said. I am down in understanding the full implications of that. And then I'll take it a little bit further. Let's go, because one of the things that we talked about on the block yesterday was circles. We talked about those who are in your circle. A good point of that is when somebody is troubled. Okay, let me explain like this. Rico, if there's somebody that's a drug addict, any type of addict, whatever the addiction is, it don't have to be drugs, it don't have to be alcohol, whatever the addiction is, right? That individual comes from meager means, wins the lottery, makes 100 million. Does usually that addiction subside, or does it get worse?
Worse.
Okay. Let's just establish that. That is a pretty. There's an established fact on a lot of that. Now there are some ones that kind of squeak through and change and make the difference, but the majority of those situations, whatever that situation you have, gets worse. Okay, so
the funds to supply your addiction.
Right. Okay. So it can be wordplay initially, but when funds are involved, wordplay turns into whatever you say. All right, whatever. Right. Okay. Yeah, that's what you say. Give me my 50 mil. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like that's what it kind of comes down to. Taking that away with 50 games on towards the end of your rookie scale contract, coming into your big moolah contract,
which starts next year,
right? Because again, they do not get paid, Rico. Most of them. Most people don't take the 12-month. I have seen some that take the 12-month deferment. You get paid throughout the whole
lump
year.
sum.
Most people take it through the season. Okay, so meaning from the time now that you're suspended through the summer, whatever money you had and you haven't tricked off, then you've got to get to training camp plus 50. So any friends that you had at that point, Rico, if they real friends, they stay around. If they real friends, they help to change you, because we need to get back to the money bag. Yo, if you are somebody that's not in for the right reasons, then it's going to be exposed quickly and you're going to be moved out. So he's going to be on pins and needles line, in a linear line in his thinking, because he's going to be wondering how we was when we got locked out. Like, Lord have mercy. When these checks gonna start again, it's getting tight. So that's the way I see it too. There's a lot of things that's going to be exposed. There's a lot of reflection that he's going to be able to do, depending on how he handles that situation. He will probably be able to subside a lot of this bull crap by the time the 50 games is up, and then still get back to doing what he does best, and that's playing basketball.
There are reports that Morant is going to rehabilitation or going to rehab for an addiction. I don't remember exactly what they said it was for, but that he'll be doing that during his 50-game suspension during his time, because initially he was taking time away from, he said that he was stepping away. I don't believe that the Memphis Grizzlies had suspended him or anything. He himself was taking a leave of absence. So he was suspended 2 games by Memphis, but he was taking a leave of absence from the team to get right himself, get his mind right, hopefully tighten up his circle and figure out, what people in your circle can you trust to help you to continue on the right path? Because as I was telling you guys in the break, there are multiple videos of Ja Morant signing his shoes after a game and giving them to a fan. There was the there was a time when he gave a $500 tip to a waitress at a restaurant. All of these amazing things that Ja Morant did when he first got into the league, or, over the past couple of years since he's been in the league. And there are people thinking that, this current iteration of Ja Morant is just people out to get him and people trying to, push him down and punish him for being such a great person and becoming possibly the face of the NBA. But in reality, this is something that he did to himself. It's very unfortunate to see. It's very unfortunate to say, but Ja Morant has put himself in this situation with not only the people that he surrounded himself with, but with the decisions that he's made. Going on his own Instagram live at a club with a handgun, with liquor, flashing gang signs, flashing the pistol on his own Instagram live is not something that you should be doing. And allegedly, that incident happened mere hours after a players-only meeting was called by Steven Adams, a veteran on that Grizzlies team, saying that they needed to tighten things up and control themselves, especially on the road, to focus on their playoff push.
Yeah.
If you are taking into account that a veteran on your team, a widely respected veteran player in the NBA, such as Steven Adams, is bringing the team together for a players-only meeting and trying to get everybody on the same page. And it seems like everybody else was in agreement with it, except for your star player. That is an issue, and that is something that is not media-driven. That is not NBA-driven. That is something that he himself and his closest circle have decided to continue doing, unfortunately, and that has put him in a very dire situation.
Sutter Heyman text line 402-464-5685. I'm just going to throw this out to the Sutter Heyman text line and to you guys, Austin. If this is something we want to tap in before the state tournament gets crazy, it's something we can. If not, it's okay too. But here's what I'm going to say. When you look at everyone over the last, let's just go 20 years. I can only think of maybe one or two that are face individuals that have gone unscathed from any type of drama or trouble. LeBron James went through it. His outside off the court stuff is squeaky clean, but he went through it when he did that the answer, or what was it called?
The decision.
Right? Kobe went through it when he had the situation up in Denver. Shaq has gone through it. Michael Jordan has gone through it when you're dealing with the gambling and also the loss of his father. I mean, I think if you kind of go down to Magic Johnson went through it with the AIDS situation. In some form or fashion, most faces have gone through some form of, let me check you. You need to get back in check because you gotta be in order on this. And they had to address it. I could be wrong, but it just looks to me that might be something out there.
It seems as if every star has gone through some turmoil.
You got Steph, whose things have been ankles, not off the court behavioral, and Tim Duncan.
Yeah.
Dirk.
That's what I was gonna say. Tim Duncan. Dirk.
But
Dirk wasn't a face of the league. Right?
Sure. Well,
top tier guy.
Duncan wasn't the face of the league.
I think he was
Those
close.
are face of the franchise.
And that's okay. So that's the difference. Is the guys that were not the face of the league, but are bona fide Hall of Famers, amazing, great players in their time, probably whatever time they decided to play. They may not have been the face of the league, and that is partially might be because they didn't get into any trouble outside of the basketball court. They never did anything off the basketball court. They did good things, but the things that they did that were good, that would help the community, didn't have cameras, didn't have anything around them, and they just went out and they helped their community. They did whatever they wanted to do in a positive light, but nothing that they didn't want to be the face of the NBA.
Right.
Like Tim Duncan just wanted to be low key, not do anything. Dirk Nowitzki, same thing, probably wanted low key, didn't really want to do anything in terms of the flashy lights of the NBA outside of play basketball. So if you're willing to be the face of the NBA, which I'm sure John Morant wants to be, especially with his flashy play, maybe this is something that he has to go through. Maybe it's some weird type of initiation that the universe has every face of the NBA go through.
Similar to what they do with the Madden thing.
Yeah.
If you get on Madden, just be prepared to go through
the
something.
Madden curse. Like, it's just something that you have to go through for whatever reason to become the face of the NBA. But it's unfortunate, and you really hope that John Morant can get this turned around. And you heard, if you were watching First Take this morning, Stephen A. Smith calling out T. Morant, saying, this is your boy. You helped him get to this level. You were there with him step by step. Where are you? You need to make sure that this doesn't fall apart for him.
The other thing to consider about the Grizzlies, too, is you look at their on-off numbers from last year, essentially unchanged with John Morant on or off the floor. I mean, obviously, he raises the ceiling of a team, but the Grizzlies have enough young talent. They're deep enough that, yes, you're going to be looking for a superstar to raise that ceiling at some point. But if you're as good without John Morant as you are with him on the court, again, this is just, one, maybe two incidents. He's still fine in Memphis for now. But if there's a third, if there's a fourth incident, do you want that problem if you're just as good without him in terms of on the court basketball?
That's something
a great point.
That's something that
that's why he's our analytics genius.
Love it. Love the numbers. Love the plus minuses. Speaking of plus and minuses, mostly plus. Nebraska softball 5-0 on the weekend.
Love
beating
it.
Number 17 Arizona in the process. Staying on the road, though.
Go ahead, girls. Staying on
the road, though. According to, I think it was USA Softball or something around there, they are 24th in the country. NCAA Softball does not have them in the top 25 quite yet, but I'm sure if they continue up their stellar play, they'll be right there. Husker Baseball.
Home opener
today, Northern Colorado,
Not a
as
bad
is
day.
tradition. A pretty nice day outside. So if you find yourself out and about wanting something to do, head on down to Haymarket and catch the Nebraska baseball team taking on the Northern Colorado Bears.
Bears of some sort.
Get yourself some
Fighting
baseball
Mike
in.
Andersons.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time. It's going to be a great time. That's going to do it for the happy hour. On the block, up next, ladies and gentlemen, have yourself a great one. High school boys state basketball starts tomorrow at 9 a.m. Adios. MWR is dedicated to building attractive, affordable steel buildings that